School districts in the Pinelands and Highlands region are asking for more state support in the school funding formula because of the limits they face in terms of where and how they can grow their economies. Republican State Senator Latham Tiver says it's time to better support these school districts. He joins us now to talk about that and his other legislative priorities as part of our Under the Dome series. Senator, thank you so much for taking some time to talk to us today. You're here in part because we want to talk to you about what's happening in the Pinelands region. I know you testified earlier this month before the Senate Education Committee because you do represent many school districts that are in that Pinelands region that are affected by the Pinelands Protection Act that was signed in 1979. Can you give us a sense what challenges the Pinelands school districts are facing when it comes to the school funding formula?
Sure. Thank you for having me today. So the Pinelands and the Highlands are pretty much in the same boat. We're receiving numerous calls. They don't stop. And it's basically school funding and state aid. And part of our problem in the Pinelands and the Highlands region is that we're asked to preserve land, which is a great thing, but yet these towns aren't able to broaden their tax base with, bringing ratables into their town and the such. So that's basically the crux of it. We have a school who just had to lay off their security guard, and in today's day and age, that's kind of eye-opening. We have sports being shut down, or parents asked to pay extra for their child to pay sports. There's another district who has to try to decide whether or not they're going to lay off 190 aides or raise taxes, which is going to be a big thing. So that's kind of the crux about how this bill came about.
So let me ask you, I know you introduced legislation S4118. This is known as the Fairness for School Districts in Development Restricted Areas Act. What is it that you would like the state to do or like to be written into the school funding formula to protect or to help support these districts?
So basically, this isn't an open checkbook for these towns. It's based on population of school and percentage of preserved Pinelands or Highlands in each town. So for instance, if you have at least 25%, if you lost money in state aid and you have at least 25% of preserved land in the Pinelands or Highlands, then you would qualify. So if you have a school where there's 500 to 999 students, you would qualify for up to $2.5 million. And if you have 1,000 students or more, then you would qualify for up to $5 million.
This does seem, Senator, like kind of I wouldn't say obvious, but it seems like there are some real limitations for these districts. And we've heard, members of the legislature on both sides of the aisle, but in particular those representing these districts, say, look, this is just an unfair burden on these communities. Does it seem like this might have some bipartisan legislative support?
We sure do hope so. I mean, it is bipartisan. We do have bipartisan support with sponsors, and you think it sounds obvious, but hopefully it does. Hopefully it does pass because these schools are really struggling. Some of these schools have lost more than 50% of their state aid in the last 7-8 years, so they're really struggling.
But we know nothing is obvious or easy when it comes to Trenton and politics. I do want to talk about a bill that you've been working on to help support the families of those who serve in our military. Can you explain what you're asking for from the legislature?
So this one is basically for reservists and National Guards. We are in affordability crisis, right? Again, our phones keep ringing. How are we paying for our electric bills? Which that's a whole other subject that we can talk about later on. Food, groceries, electric bills, just your medical expenses. And how can we help people who go and fight for us for our freedoms? And this is basically just it supplies a $2,500 grant for people who qualify for financial hardship.
So that $2,500, this would be under the New Jersey Military Family Relief Fund. Is this just a check that they get once a year? What's the kind of the criteria for how and when they get that support?
So yes, you would qualify for a one once a year stipend, basically for of $2,500.
Okay. You think that's going to go anywhere?
Again, we hope so. I mean, we owe it all to our veterans, right? They're
Yeah.
there. We have the freedoms that we have because of them. So that's a small token that we can give them.
One more bill that I know you're working on is creates better pathways for professional counselors. This is a time when mental health, obviously the importance of mental health couldn't be more stark, especially for our young people. What would you like to do to see more counselors more easily get into the profession?
Well, I think we're in a mental health crisis right now, and I think parents basically want help for their children right now. They don't want to have to wait 2 or 3 months to be able to speak to a professional. And basically what this does is to get licensed, you have to have 3 years or 4,500 hours supervised. And we're trying to lower it to 2 years, 3,000 hours in line with most of the other states out there that are doing, that's how they're doing it right now.
New Jersey certainly has high standards, but some would argue that having a high bar makes sure that you have the most qualified professionals in those positions. Are you concerned at all that lowering the standards perhaps allows folks in who aren't ready?
It's working in other states. We're not hearing complaints from other states, so I think that I think it'll work in this state as well.
I do have to just say that there may be a run against you. We've seen last week Assemblyman Anthony Angelozzi, did say that he's not ruling Angelozzi. Thank you. He's not ruling out a run in 2027. Have you given any thought to that and what that could look like?
No, I mean, whoever they want to put up against me is, I can't control that. So if Anthony wants to run against me, then, that's just the way that the cookie crumbles, I guess you could say.
All right. Finally, got to ask you, obviously, we're just a couple weeks away, less than a couple weeks away from the budget deadline. Your thoughts on how the budgeting process is going right now under a new administration?
Right now, it's like you said, we have 3 weeks, and we're just waiting to hear what the final budget is going to look like, so that we can take a look at it and vote on it.
And go from there. All right.
And go from there.
We're going to leave it right there. Senator Latham Tiver, you represent folks down in Atlantic and Burlington counties in District 8. Thank you for taking some time today.
Thank you. Have a good day.